The date is Monday, August 30. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Health and Wellness Ministry says oxygen tanks arrived at the ports at 4:45 a.m. Monday morning. The expedited deliveries were made to the Kingston Public Hospital and the University Hospital of the West Indies by 7:45 a.m. Another delivery is being made to Savannah Lamar. With almost 145 confirmed and suspected COVID-19 patients, the Mandeville Regional Hospital is under pressure to find space for incoming COVID-19 patients. Chief Executive Officer at the hospital, Alwyn Miller, says all isolation areas are full, and wards that have repurposed for the purpose of isolation are also full. He says patients are being held in the outpatients department until space is available. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is again appealing to citizens to become vaccinated. He says especially those of whom are listening to and believing false information about the vaccines. Mr. Holness says the goal is herd immunity.
In general, the vaccines appear to be very, very safe. For those who hold conspiracy theories and other concerns, today we seek to appeal to you to say there is a public interest that you should pay attention to, as well as your own personal interest, and seek to balance the two and see which is more important. It is, in my opinion, more important that the country achieves herd immunity. It is in the achievement of herd immunity safely that we will be able to dispense with these non-clinical measures, which have had a devastating impact on our economy and which are also used in many instances as a means to tear the society apart.
In managing the pandemic, he says we must pay attention to what the science says and also the social science in terms of how our people feel about the measures.
Whenever we have to impose some form of a lockdown, whenever we have to impose restrictions on the right of movement, freedom of gathering, we see a growing pushback in the society against this. And the pushback would come in the form of the government doesn't care about the livelihood of poor people because we are closing down the parties and closing down the dances and shutting down businesses at a certain hour. That conversation is carried right through the society without any form of acknowledgement that some of the very people who we are trying to protect, that they are dying. The deaths are not just in a certain segment of the population, older, more vulnerable people. We are now seeing a trend of deaths in a younger segment of the population, which is now a cause for even greater concern.
The Prime Minister was speaking at a recent vaccination sensitization panel. Here is the latest COVID-19 update from the Health and Wellness Ministry.
In the clinical management summary for Sunday, August 29, 739 new positives were reported. This brings the overall case count to 67,402, with 17,000 being active. In the parish breakdown, St. Anne registered the highest positives with 149, followed by Kingston and St. Andrew with 143, and St. Mary 88. 6 deaths were also reported over the past 24 hours, and that pushes the island's death toll to 1,510. To date, an overall 48,186 persons have been reported as having recovered from the virus, with 91 coming over the last 24-hour period. At this time, 723 persons are hospitalized, 192 patients are moderately ill, 88 are severely ill, and 62 are said to be critical. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government has secured $400 million for the social housing program. He says the additional funds will be used to build more than 500 units during the current financial year. Mr. Holness, who was speaking at a recent handover of a 3-bedroom house to a family in his West Central St. Andrew constituency, says the program is being expanded so that the units are more affordable. He notes that the government is finding ways to put more resources into the construction of the houses. An initial $500 million was budgeted for the program. The Prime Minister says approvals have been done for 259 units from a list of 327 submissions. 49 have been completed. The 2- and 3-bedroom houses are built under the Housing Opportunity Production and Employment Program, which was launched in 2018. Reggae pioneer, record producer, and singer Lee Scratch Perry died on the weekend. Pbcj understands that he passed away on Sunday morning at the Noel Holmes Hospital in Hanover. He was 85 years old. Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports Minister Olivia Grange, in a statement, said she is saddened by his passing. She described him as a giant of Jamaican music, noting that his contribution developed and propelled ska, rocksteady and reggae, and it's been a mammoth contribution. Lee Scratch Perry started as an apprentice to the legendary Sir Coxsone at Studio One in the 1950s, and spent the rest of his life helping to develop Jamaican music. In making his condolences, Prime Minister Andrew Holness described Mr. Perry as an, quote, eccentric character who reshaped the reggae landscape, end quote. He is survived by widow Muriel, children, and other relatives. The Tax Administration of Jamaica, TAJ, wishes to remind the public that it has expanded the period for filing and payment of GCT, SCT, TCT, and GART returns for the month of July. The new deadline is September 3. TAJ, in a release, says the decision has been taken with consideration to those categories of taxpayers who may have been impacted by the recently adjusted national COVID-19 containment measures. This means that business persons now have until September 3 to file their consumption tax returns and make payments without any penalties being applied. Jamaica has a fruit whose taste and nutritional benefits are world-renowned. Crops are plentiful. However, each year, motorists traveling through rural communities in various parishes, including St. Thomas, often drive over hundreds of mangoes fallen from trees. There are plans to tap into the tremendous economic potential for this sweet fruit and its added value products. The Agro Investment Corporation, AIC, an agency of the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, has earmarked over 900 acres for a mango agropark in Tollgate, Clarendon. A US $500,000 hot water treatment plant will be constructed to disinfect the mangoes against fruit flies. Leases for 50-acre plots for planting are being offered to investors. In this report, Marlon Samuels tells us about the benefits of the fruit and Jamaica's current mango industry.
One of the most popular fruits across the world is the mango. In fact, mangoes are often referred to as the king of fruit. In 2019, Jamaica exported 12,000 pounds of Julius and East Indian mangoes to the United States. It was the first time in 20 years that mangoes were being exported to that country. Since the start of the year, 100,000 pounds of Jamaican mangoes have been sold in the United States. The Ministry of Agriculture is capitalizing on the success of the mango exports by putting measures in place to establish mango orchards in the parishes of St. James, St. Thomas, St. Catherine, and Clarendon. Mango plants are being distributed under the ministry's National Fruit Tree Program. The program is designed to support food security and protect Jamaica's environment on a sustainable basis. The goal is to distribute approximately 4,500 fruit trees. The high levels of vitamins and fiber found in mangoes mean that eating the fruit can help boost immunity, lower cholesterol, help in digestion, and improve your eyes. For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
We now get the latest financial market update from Carol Francis for Gabriel Thompson at the business desk.
In Friday's trading session, the JSE combined index advanced by 3,514 points to close at over 418,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 90 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 35 declined, and 20 traded firm. The junior market index declined by 3.85 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, CAC 2000 Limited, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Wigtown Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with over 6.1 million units, followed by Radio Jamaica Limited with over 3.38 million units, and Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with over 3.3 million units. In foreign exchange trading, which ended on Friday, August 27, the US dollar sold for an average $152.26. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $121.26. The pound sterling traded for $211.68. And the euro sold for an average $181.18. In market data for oil, prices slipped on Monday, giving up an earlier rally to a 4-week high as Hurricane Ida weakened after forcing shutdowns of U.S. Gulf oil production, and OPEC looked set to go ahead with a planned oil output increase. Brent crude futures were down 26 cents at $72.44 a barrel. U.S. crude fell 9 cents to $68.65 a barrel. And that's it for the Monday edition of the Business Report Inside the News on PBCJ. I'm Carol, sitting in for Gabriel Thompson.
In regional news, with schools set to reopen in a matter of days, educators in the Bahamas are split on the issue of COVID-19 vaccinations. Julian Gray of Our News reports.
Whether to take the COVID-19 vaccine has been a tough decision for many educators, but that's to be expected, according to one Grand Bahama Union leader who says teachers have concerns just like everyone else.
It's a toss-up. It's no direct scale pointing in any direction. You have a lot of persons who are not certain about the vaccine because at this time they're still not certain about the integrity of those vaccines. But then others, they're saying because I'm going to be around kids and a lot of students and a lot of people, they're taking it for protection for themselves. But it's still a toss-up.
No data has been collected on how many educators are vaccinated, but Administrator Norris Bain says at Tabernacle Baptist Christian Academy, several staff members are fully vaccinated. He often uses himself as an example to encourage those who aren't vaccinated to take the jab.
We have some teachers that have done the AstraZeneca. You have some teachers that have done the Pfizer. And then we have some teachers who are saying, I'm not taking it because of this reason, that reason, you know. So there's like anywhere. When you, in school is a microcosm of what's happening in the real world. So we see it. There's an argument with some teachers who are saying they're not going to take it. And all I could do is tell them, well, I've taken it. I've been all right. When they ask me how I felt after taking it, I can only use my experience.
Over 50,000 people are fully vaccinated in the Bahamas. With case numbers rising and more young people being affected, vaccinations for students are being endorsed by schools.
Government officials have advised we've seen a significant spike of COVID-19 cases during the month of August. There isn't more time to do research. We have to get our community vaccinated. For those who do not wish to get vaccinated, we encourage you to follow all of the safety protocols to continue to keep the community safe. There are no vaccines for children under the age of 12. So therefore, it is important that households who do have children under the age of 12, it's important that they get vaccinated so that we can protect our little ones and the elderly.
While schools will be virtual, keeping children safe off campus is just as important. Queen's College nurse Tatum Monroe says parents should continue to train students to follow protocols, especially the younger ones.
For right now, especially parents of our little ones, they need to normalize mask wearing. So make it fun, practice with them. When they're in the house, when they're leaving the house, show them how to wear the mask properly. Students in our foundation year, so we're dealing with toddlers, a lot of times their masks fall below their nose. So it's important that parents practice with them and find the mask with the proper fit.
Meanwhile, Bahamas Educators Managerial Union Secretary General Zane Lightburn's advice to educators is to be knowledgeable about the pros and cons of the vaccine.
If your personal physician says to you, it's safe for you to take this vaccine, by all means, go ahead and take it. Practice social distancing. We are looking at how the schools are equipped for all of the other health protocols to be put in place. So we are asking persons to make themselves knowledgeable. We are teachers, we are the leaders, we are the educated part of the society that people depend on for guidance, and we must behave in this manner.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jillian Gray.
In Barbados, last week, Housing Minister Dr. William Duguid announced in Parliament that the government will be importing 150,000 emergency houses from China. There has been some pushback on that decision, but he says it's the right move to make. We get more in this Barbados Today report.
Housing Minister Dr. William Duguid has defended government's decision to import 150 emergency houses from China. There has been some criticism of the decision following Duguid's announcement in Parliament last week, but addressing a meeting of the Barbados Labour Party St. John branch last night, Duguid made it clear that government needed to jumpstart the relocation of people displaced from Hurricane Elsa and the freak storm.
And did we go to the sourcing from East West Building, which is a company registered in Barbados but providing houses already designed out of China. And it is because we had to jumpstart it. Now, what we found is many times we want to do a house, but there's no place for that person to go to. So part of the houses that we're building will be transitionary houses where we're rebuilding their house or repairing their house will be able to move into the transitionary house while those repairs or rebuilds are going on, and then move back once their house is completed. And what we are fully in agreement with is this will help us to jumpstart the work. It will by no means be all of the work, but it will certainly help us to go a long way to be able to get people back to where they were, to have a roof over their head.
The minister also revealed that 90% of the houses which had been damaged by Hurricane Elsa have been assessed.
So far, we've only completed 90%. And what we've found so far, and we expect that this will even change, we have 466 of those reports will be total rebuilds, and 1,075 so far will be repairs. And what we did is we looked at that, and I must tell you, we've completed in the assessments St. Peter, St. Andrew, St. James, St. John, St. George, and Christchurch. And we still have a few others in other parishes to be completed. So we recognize that it is going to be a mammoth task to get these houses repaired and rebuilt. And it is such a task that even although we would have started doing a tremendous amount of work already.
In St. Lucia, the public transportation sector in that country has been hit by deaths associated with COVID-19. As a result, bus operators are asking for more stringent pandemic regulations. Here's more from HTS News Force.
Public transportation has been called the driving force of the island's economic stability. However, there are calls for tighter pandemic regulations after the death of a bus driver and 5 operators stricken by the virus. Drivers are demanding their passengers do the right thing against the backdrop of rising infections.
This bus, as far as you can see, the person have to be sanitized, fully masked down. If not, you're not boarding that bus. We just have to be concerned of ourselves and to protect others, to follow the protocol and do what we're supposed to do.
What do you think about the increased vaccination?
Well, it's because of our disobedience, people not listening. But I am saying to you here, our bus drivers, we're listening. If you don't sanitize, you don't have your fully mask, as what we're doing there right now, this is serious time. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're not boarding that bus.
Others have called for a decline in the capacity load on public buses.
All drivers have to protect themselves when they get those scoping and things like that. And the customers too, always wear their mask before they go board the van. And else, I declare to myself, I want all buses to carry 10 people.
The spiraling numbers have left minibus operators cautioning their unvaccinated colleagues to get the jab before it's too late.
All you have to do is just have to get vaccinated. And if all of the drivers go and get vaccinated and they sanitize the bus as usual as possible, I think things will be okay for us.
What about the reduction in the numbers? Do you think we should go back to that?
Well, if it's possible, and the government has to do it, it has to do it. As long as it's possible, we have to go that way.
The confirmation of one operator succumbing to COVID-19 has also elicited calls for commuters to play their part to protect drivers as well.
That's so sad, eh? Well, it's the people again. We people again. You know what I mean? We always feel that, you know what I mean, we love our own self. You know what I mean? So nobody wants, some people want to follow protocol, some don't want to follow. A lot of vehicles, every check it now, the passengers, a lot of them, they board in the vehicle, they're not wearing masks, they're not sanitizing, I don't know why. You know what I mean? People aren't really taking that serious. So unless if 20, 50 or 100 or maybe 1,000 die, then everybody going to check themselves that's what's really going on in this island or what's going on around the world. But I don't know what to say again, but you know what I mean? Just love of our own self causing all these things just keep happening, you know? Because we could do better than that. We could do better than that.
As the island's numbers skyrocket, all sectors are being monitored to ensure that loopholes and weaknesses are tightened in the continued fight against the spread of COVID-19. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
In sports, Jamaica's Paralympians continue to hunt for medals. On the track, Alberta Campbell represents the men's T20 400 meters at the Paralympic Games at the Tokyo Olympic Stadium. On Friday, the other track and field athlete, Sylvia Grant, finished 10th in the F57 women's discus with a season's best throw of 23.12 meters. On Saturday night, judoka Theodore Suba lost both of his fights in his debut in the men's plus 100 kilogram judo class. In other sporting news, Jamaica's amateur golf team returned home on Saturday from the 64th Caribbean Amateur Golf Championship, which was being played at the Country Club at Grand Reserve Rio Grande between August 24 to August 26. The Jamaican male team bagged second position and they posted a total team score of 50 over par 914. The top four players who contributed to the team's score were Justin Burrows, William Nibbs, Owen Samuda, and Shamar Wilson. We caught up with the team at the Norman Mann International Airport.
I had a good time. I mean, I think we did pretty well as a team. You know, I really felt confident in our team, and you know, I feel like we went out and we executed. Obviously, there's areas that we could have improved on, and I mean areas that we could have done better on, and now we know and we can learn from that and improve in the future. So overall, I'm happy with the experience.
Nibbs was a player with the highest individual score.
It was a good week. First 2 days it was really windy, struggled with my putting a bit, and I knew I could help the team more than I had the first 2 days. So on the third day I just went to practice like 2 hours extra early, and as it turns out I helped as I knew I could.
In the weather report, the Met Service says there's a trough across Jamaica. The trough is expected to linger across the island for the next few days. This afternoon, expect isolated showers and thunderstorms across western parishes and hilly areas. Tonight should be fair. In the 3-day forecast, Tuesday should be mainly sunny in the mornings. Isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms are expected across western parishes and hilly inland areas. Wednesday and Thursday is forecast to be mostly cloudy with afternoon showers and isolated thunderstorms across sections of central and western parishes. And that's our package. Thanks as always for watching. You have just seen the news on PBCJ, the People's Station.